Jake Martinez wiped the sweat from his forehead as he looked at the readouts on his mining computer. The numbers looked good. Very good. This asteroid had more rare metals than he had seen in 3 years of deep space mining. The Iron Dawn, his small but tough mining ship, hummed quietly as it stayed locked to the spinning rock. He had been working alone for 3 days now. Most miners worked in teams, but Jake liked the quiet. No one to argue with about which rocks to hit first. No one to complain about his music. Just him, his tools, and the endless black of space. The first sign that something was wrong came when his metal detector started acting up. The screen would flicker for just a second, then go back to normal. Jake frowned and tapped the side of the machine. It had never done that before. Must be all this metal messing with the sensors, he said to himself, but something felt off. In his 10 years of mining, Jake had learned to trust his gut. And right now, his gut was telling him to pay attention. He checked his ship's outer cameras. Nothing but space and rocks. He ran a full scan of the area around the asteroid, still nothing. But the feeling would not go away. That night, Jake sat in his small cabin eating a meal pack and going over the day's work. The Iron Dawn had pulled almost 2 tons of rare metals from the asteroid. At current market prices, that was enough to keep him comfortable for 6 months. But he could not shake the feeling that something was watching him. He pulled up his security logs on the computer. The Iron Dawn had cameras all around the outside of the ship. Jake fast-forwarded through the footage from the past 3 days. Nothing, just the slow spin of the asteroid and the distant stars, but then he saw it. At 0347 hours, one of the cameras had gone dark for exactly 12 seconds. Jake rewound the footage and watched again. The camera cut out, then came back on. During those 12 seconds, the view was exactly the same as before. Too exactly the same. Someone looped the footage, Jake said out loud. His voice sounded small in the empty cabin. Jake had served in the Earth Defense Corps before he became a miner. He knew the signs of electronic warfare. Someone had hacked his cameras and replaced 12 seconds of real footage with fake footage. But who and why? He pulled up the ship's other systems. His communication array showed no problems. His engines were running fine. His life support was working perfectly. But his tool inventory was off by 1 item. A small cutting torch was missing. From the equipment bay, Jake's blood ran cold. Someone had been on his ship. Someone had taken one of his tools. And they had been good enough to hack his security cameras to cover their tracks. He grabbed his sidearm from the weapons locker and did a full search of the Iron Dawn. Every room, every storage space, every hiding spot he could think of. The ship was empty except for him. But the cutting torch was definitely gone. Back in the control room, Jake pulled up the long-range sensors. If someone was out there, these sensors would find them. He set the range to maximum and waited. The screen showed nothing but empty space and distant asteroids. Then, just at the edge of sensor range, something appeared for a split second. A shape that was too regular to be a rock. Too small to be a ship. Jake tried to lock onto it, but it was already gone. Stealth technology, Jake muttered. Military grade. He had seen ships like this during his time in the Defense Corps. Ships that could hide from most sensors. Ships that were built for one purpose. Hunting. Jake's hands moved across the control panel with practiced speed. He activated every security system on the Iron Dawn, motion sensors, heat detectors, pressure, plates. If something got within 100 meters of his ship, he would know about it. But whoever was out there was smart. They stayed just outside his sensor range, watching and waiting. Jake could feel their eyes on him even though he could not see them. He tried to call for help, but his communication system had been jammed. Not broken, just blocked. The jamming was subtle, professional. It would look like normal interference to anyone who was not paying close attention. Jake sat back in his pilot's chair and thought. Someone was hunting him. They had superior technology. And they knew how to use it. They had already been on his ship once. They could probably do it again, but Jake Martinez was not going to run. He was an engineer. He solved problems for a living. And right now he had a very big problem to solve. He pulled up the schematics for his mining equipment. cutting lasers, drilling machines, explosive charges, all designed to break apart rocks. But with the right modifications, they could break apart other things too. Jake smiled for the first time in 3 days. His hunter thought they were stalking easy prey. They thought humans were weak and helpless. They were about to learn that human engineers did not give up easily. The Iron Dawn's mining bay was full of equipment that could be turned into weapons. The asteroid beneath his ship was full of tunnels that could be turned into traps. And Jake. Martinez was full of ideas about how to use both. Let them come, he thought. Let them try to hunt me. They are about to find out why humans are the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Outside in the darkness, something moved closer to the asteroid. Something that had been watching and waiting for the right moment to strike. The hunt was about to begin in earnest, but the hunter had no idea that the prey was already setting traps. Jake woke up to the sound of his alarm system screaming. Something had triggered the motion sensors around his ship. He rolled out of bed and grabbed his weapon in one smooth motion. The display showed a contact near the communication array on the outside of the Iron Dawn. He watched through the security cameras as a small, metallic object attached itself to his communication dish. The object was about the size of his fist and covered in strange markings. It pulsed with a soft blue light as it worked. "So you want to cut off my communications completely," Jake said to himself. "Let's see about that." Instead of trying to remove the device, Jake did something his stalker would not expect. He put on his work suit and went outside to get a closer look. The device was unlike anything in the Earth Defense Corps' database. The technology was clearly alien, but it was also clearly built for one purpose: jamming human communications. Jake carefully disconnected the device from his communication array. It stopped pulsing and went dark. But instead of throwing it away, he brought it inside his ship. If someone wanted to play games with technology, Jake was happy to play along. In his workshop, Jake connected the alien device to his computer systems. His engineering training had taught him how to reverse engineer almost anything. The device's circuits were different from human technology, but the basic principles were the same. Electricity flowed through pathways to create specific functions. After 4 hours of careful work, Jake had figured out how the device worked. It was not just a jamming device. It was also a sensor probe. It had been watching him and sending information back to whoever had built it. But now Jake had control of it. He modified the device's programming and boosted its sensor range with parts from his mining equipment. Instead of jamming his communications, it would now extend his sensor range far beyond what the Iron Dawn could normally detect. The results were immediate. On his main display, Jake could see a ship hiding behind a large asteroid about 2,000 kilometers away. The ship was long and sleek, built for speed and stealth. It looked like a predator, all sharp angles and dark metal. "There you are," Jake said with satisfaction. "Now I can see you." The alien ship was clearly built for hunting. Its hull was covered in stealth plating that made it almost invisible to normal sensors. But Jake's modified probe could detect the ship's heat signature and the energy patterns from its engines. Jake studied the ship's design through his enhanced sensors. It was built for hit-and-run attacks, not direct combat. The weapons were light but precise. The engines were designed for quick acceleration and sudden stops. This was a ship for stalking prey, not fighting battles, that told Jake everything he needed to know about his hunter. They were used to fighting weak opponents who would panic and make mistakes. They were not used to fighting engineers who could turn their own weapons against them. Jake began working on his next project. Using his mining lasers, he started cutting specific patterns into the surface of the asteroid. To anyone watching, it would look like random cuts, maybe some kind of human art or territorial marking. But Jake was not making art, he was making a trap. The patterns he cut were based on mathematical calculations. By removing exact amounts of rock from precise locations, Jake was changing the asteroid's mass distribution. The spinning rock was becoming unbalanced, creating gravitational anomalies that would affect any ship trying to land on it. The work took all day. Jake's mining lasers carved deep channels into the asteroid's surface, removing thousands of tons of rock. The cuts formed a complex pattern that spiraled around the asteroid like a giant maze from his hidden position. The alien hunter watched the human's strange behavior. The markings made no sense. They seemed random and pointless. The hunter felt confident that the human was simply panicking, making meaningless gestures in the face of superior technology, but Jake was not panicking. He was building the largest gravity trap ever created by a human engineer. The asteroid's rotation was becoming unstable. Areas of high and low gravity were forming across its surface. Any ship trying to land would find its navigation systems confused and its engines fighting against unpredictable gravitational forces. The day ended. Jake made his final preparations. He rigged explosive charges throughout the mining tunnels he had already dug. Not enough to destroy the asteroid, but enough to collapse specific passages and create new ones. The underground maze would become even more complex when he needed it to be. He also prepared his mining equipment for combat. The drilling machines became mobile weapons platforms. The cutting lasers became precision guns. The explosive charges became guided missiles. Every tool in his workshop was now a weapon, waiting to be used. Jake checked his sensors one more time. The alien ship was still hiding behind the distant asteroid, but it was moving closer. The hunter was getting ready to make his move. Jake smiled as he made his final checks. His stalker thought they were hunting a helpless human miner. They thought they had all the advantages. They were about to learn that human engineers did not just solve problems. They turned problems into solutions. The Iron Dawn's computers showed all systems ready. The asteroid was prepared. The traps were set. Jake Martinez was ready for war. Outside in the darkness, the alien hunter began moving toward the asteroid. The time for watching was over. The time for killing had begun. But the hunter had no idea that the prey had spent the day turning the entire asteroid into a weapon. The real hunt was about to begin, and Jake Martinez was no longer the one being hunted. The alien ship appeared on Jake's sensors at dawn. It was moving fast, coming straight toward the asteroid. Jake watched from his control room as the sleek vessel tried to find a safe landing spot on the asteroid's surface, but there were no safe landing spots anymore. Jake's gravity trap was working perfectly. The alien ship's computers could not figure out where to land. Every time the ship tried to touch down, the unstable gravity fields would push it away or pull it into the wrong position. After 20 minutes of failed landing attempts, the alien ship finally managed to set down on a small flat area near the north pole of the asteroid. But even there, the ship tilted at a strange angle as the uneven gravity pulled at its hull. Jake smiled as he watched the ship's landing ramp open. A figure in a dark suit stepped out onto the asteroid's surface. The figure was tall and thin, moving with the careful steps of someone used to hunting in low gravity, but Jake could see everything the hunter was doing. His modified sensors tracked every movement, every breath, every heartbeat. The alien had some kind of cloaking device that made him hard to see, but Jake's equipment could detect the heat from his body and the electromagnetic field from his suit. The hunter moved toward the entrance of the mining tunnels. Jake had left the main tunnel entrance open, making it look like an obvious hiding place. The alien would think the human was cowering deep underground, waiting to be found. Jake was underground, but he was not cowering. He was hunting the tunnel system Jake had created was like a three-dimensional maze. Passages branched off in all directions, some leading deeper into the asteroid, others leading to dead ends. But Jake knew every tunnel, every turn, every hiding place. The alien hunter moved into the tunnels with confidence. His people had been hunting for thousands of years. They knew how to track prey through any environment. They could move without making sound and strike without warning, but Jake had turned the tunnels into a sensor network. Every footstep triggered pressure sensors hidden in the floor. Every breath disturbed air currents that Jake's equipment could detect. The invisible hunter was completely visible to his prey. Jake watched on his displays as the alien moved deeper into the maze. The hunter was good at his job. He moved with purpose, checking each side passage before moving forward. He was methodical and careful, but Jake was better. He had spent 3 days preparing for this moment. Every tunnel had been modified. Some passages were filled with gases that would interfere with the alien's cloaking device. Others were lined with reflective materials that would bounce back the hunter's own sensor beams. The alien hunter stopped at a junction where 3 tunnels met. Jake could see him on the sensors, standing perfectly still, listening for any sound that might give away his prey's location. Jake was 40 meters away, watching through a small hole he had drilled in the tunnel wall. The alien was exactly where Jake wanted him to be. Jake pressed a button on his control panel. Explosive charges went off in 2 of the 3 tunnels, sealing them with tons of rock. The alien hunter was now trapped in the one remaining passage. With only one way to go, the hunter realized he was being herded like an animal. He had become the hunted instead of the hunter, but his pride would not let him retreat. He moved forward into the tunnel Jake had chosen for him. This tunnel was different from the others. Jake had lined it with mining equipment that had been modified into weapons. Cutting lasers tracked the alien's movement. Drilling machines stood, ready to fire metal bolts. The tunnel had become a gauntlet of death, but Jake was not trying to kill the alien yet. He was testing him. He wanted to see how good this hunter really was. The alien proved he was very good. He detected the first laser trap and rolled under its beam. He saw the drilling machine's targeting system and destroyed it with a weapon of his own. He moved through the tunnel like a deadly dancer, avoiding every trap Jake had set. Jake was impressed despite himself. This alien was a true predator, skilled and dangerous. But Jake had more surprises waiting. The tunnel opened into a large cavern that Jake had hollowed out with his mining equipment. The alien hunter stepped into the open space and immediately knew he had made a mistake. The cavern was a kill zone. Mining lasers were positioned around the walls, all aimed at the center of the room. Explosive charges were placed at key points in the ceiling. There was no cover, no way to hide, but Jake did not activate the weapons. Instead, he spoke through the cavern's communication system. "I know you can hear me," Jake said. "I know you can understand me. You have been hunting me for days. Now I want to know why." The alien hunter stood in the center of the cavern, his cloaking device making him nearly invisible. Jake could see him clearly on his sensors. "You are not hiding," Jake continued. "You are standing in the middle of a trap. You could try to fight your way out, but you know you would not make it. So let's talk." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the alien's cloaking device shut off. The hunter became visible, tall and lean in his dark armor. His face was hidden behind a helmet, but Jake could see his eyes through the visor. They were the eyes of a predator. But for the first time, they also showed something else: respect. The alien hunter stood in the center of the cavern, his helmet turning slowly as he studied the weapons aimed at him. When he spoke, his voice came through a translator device built into his armor. "You are not what we expected, human," the alien sighed. His voice was deep and rough, like gravel grinding together. "My people have studied your species. You are supposed to be weak, easy prey." Jake kept his weapons aimed at the alien but did not fire. "Your people made a mistake. We are not weak. We are stubborn. There is a difference." The alien tilted his head, a gesture that looked almost human. "I am Zixthok of the Kethver. I have hunted on 1,000 worlds. I have killed creatures that could tear your ship apart with their bare hands. But you have turned my own hunt against me." "My name is Jake Martinez," Jake replied. "I am an engineer. I solve problems. Right now, you are my problem." Zixthok laughed, a sound like metal scraping against stone. "You think you have won, human Jake? But this cavern is not a prison. It is an arena, and I am still the hunter." The alien's armor began to change. Plates shifted and weapons extended from hidden compartments. Zixthok's suit was not just protection, it was a weapon system designed for close combat. Jake had expected this. He pressed another button on his control panel. The floor of the cavern began to move. Sections of rock slid away, revealing deep pits filled with mining equipment. The cavern was not just a kill zone, it was a machine. "You want to fight?" Jake said. "Then let's fight, but we do it my way." Jake triggered the explosive charges he had placed throughout the cavern. But instead, of bringing down the ceiling. The explosions created new openings in the walls. Air began rushing out of the cavern, carrying both fighters toward the holes. Zixthok fired his weapons at Jake, but the rushing air threw off his aim. The alien hunter was built for fighting in atmosphere, not in the vacuum of space. His weapons were designed for precision, not for chaotic environments. Jake, on the other hand, had spent years working in space. He knew how to move in zero gravity, how to use momentum and inertia to his advantage. He kicked off the cavern wall and flew toward one of the air holes. Both fighters were pulled out of the asteroid and into the vacuum of space. Zixthok's armor sealed itself automatically, providing life support in the airless environment. But his weapons were not designed for space combat. Jake's mining suit was built for working in space. It was tough, reliable, and had its own life support system. More importantly, it was designed to work with the kind of equipment that was now floating around them. The explosion had sent mining tools and equipment flying out of the asteroid. Cutting lasers, drilling bits, metal cables, and explosive charges were scattered across the space around them. To Zixthok, it was just debris. To Jake, it was a weapon shop. Jake grabbed a cutting laser and fired it at the alien hunter. Zixthok dodged the beam and fired back with his own weapon. The two fighters spun through space, trading shots and using pieces of debris as cover, but Jake had advantages that Zixthok did not understand. Humans had evolved on a world where persistence hunting was the key to survival. Jake's species had learned to chase their prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. In space, that advantage was even greater. Zixthok's people were built for short bursts of intense activity. They were ambush predators, designed to strike fast and hard, then retreat. They were not built for long fights. Jake, on the other hand, could keep fighting for hours. His suit's life support was designed for long mining operations. His body was built for endurance, not speed. The longer the fight went on, the more the advantage shifted to him. Jake used every piece of floating debris as a weapon. He threw drilling bits, like spears. He used metal cables as whips. He turned explosive charges into guided missiles by attaching them to pieces of equipment and throwing them at his opponent. Zixthok fought with skill and precision, but Jake fought with imagination and determination. The human turned the entire debris field into a three-dimensional battlefield. Using physics and momentum to multiply his strength, the alien hunter began to slow down. His movements became less precise. His weapons fired less frequently. Zixthok was running out of energy, while Jake was just getting started. Jake saw his chance. He grabbed a long metal cable and used it to swing around behind the alien. Before Zixthok could turn around, Jake wrapped the cable around the alien's legs and pulled him toward a large piece of mining equipment. Zixthok crashed into the equipment and his weapon flew out of his hands. Jake was on him in seconds, using more cables to tie the alien's arms to his sides. The fight was over. Zixthok hung helpless in space, wrapped in mining cables like a bug in a spider's web. His armor's life support was still working, but he could not move or fight. Jake floated in front of the defeated alien, both of them breathing hard inside their suits. The human had won, but he did not look happy about it. "You are a good fighter," Jake said, "but you made one mistake. You thought this was a hunt. For me, it was just work." Jake floated in space next to his defeated opponent, both of them surrounded by the wreckage of their battle. Zixthok was tied up with mining cables, but his suit's life support was still working. The alien hunter was alive, but he could not move. "You could kill me now," Zixthok said through his translator. "It would be your right. I came here to hunt you." Jake looked at the alien for a long moment. "Killing you would be easy? But I want to know something first. Why do your people hunt humans? What did we do to make you angry?" Zixthok's helmet turned toward Jake. "You did nothing wrong. The Kethver hunt because it is our nature. We are predators. We choose prey that will give us honor in battle." "And you thought humans would be easy prey?" Jake asked. "Yes," Zixthok admitted. "Your species is small and weak. You have no natural weapons, no thick skin or sharp teeth. You should be perfect." "Victims," Jake laughed, a sound that carried through his suit's radio. "You know what your problem is? You looked at us and saw what we don't have. You didn't see what we do have. What do you have that makes you so dangerous? Zixthok asked. We don't give up, Jake said simply. Ever. When something tries to kill us, we figure out how to kill it back. When something is impossible, we make it possible. When someone hunts us, we hunt them. Jake began working to repair both of their life support systems. The battle had damaged some of the equipment, and they would need working suits if they were going to survive long enough to be rescued. You are fixing my suit, Zixthok observed. Why? I am your enemy. Because you are not my enemy anymore, Jake replied as he worked. You are my problem. And I fix problems. As Jake worked, he began to tell Zixthok about human history. He explained how his species had evolved not as apex predators, but as hunters who won through persistence and teamwork. He described how humans had learned to make tools, to solve problems, to never give up even when the odds were against them. My people learned to hunt by chasing animals until they collapsed from exhaustion, Jake explained. We were not the fastest or the strongest, but we were the most stubborn. We would follow our prey for days, weeks if necessary. We never stopped. Zixthok listened with growing interest. This is why you did not run when I hunted you. Running is not in your nature. Running is in our nature, Jake corrected. But we run toward problems, not away from them. When something threatens us, we figure out how to make it stop being a threat. Jake finished repairing the alien's life support system and moved on to his own damaged equipment. Tell me about your people, he said. What are the Kethra like? Zixthok began to describe his species and their culture. The Kethra were ancient hunters who had spread across the galaxy seeking worthy prey. They had codes of honor that governed their hunts. They respected strength and cunning in their opponents. No prey has ever defeated a Kethra hunter before, Zixthok said. You are the first. This will change everything. How will it change things? Jake asked. I must return to my people and tell them what I have learned. Humans are not prey. You are something else. Something more dangerous. Jake nodded. What will you tell them? I will tell them that humans are the ultimate predators. Not because you are strong or fast, but because you never stop learning. You turn every defeat into a lesson. You turn every weakness into a strength. You are the species that hunts the hunters. In the distance, Jake could see lights approaching. His distress. Beacon had finally reached a passing ship, and rescue was on the way. But he was not worried about being rescued anymore. He had bigger concerns. Your people will not believe you, Jake said. They will think you are making excuses for losing. Some will, Zixthok agreed, but others will listen. And those who listen will spread the word. Soon all the galaxy will know that humans are not to be hunted. The rescue ship was getting closer. Jake could see that it was a large cargo vessel, probably carrying supplies to the mining colonies. They would be able to help both him and Zixthok. Get back to civilized space. I have a proposal, Jake said. Come with me, meet other humans. Learn about our technology, our culture, our way of solving problems. Then go back to your people and tell them what you have seen. Zixthok was quiet for a long moment. You would trust me to live among your people? After I tried to kill you? You tried to hunt me, Jake corrected. That was your nature. But you can learn a new nature. Humans are good at teaching people how to change. The rescue ship was close enough now that Jake could see the crew moving around inside. Soon, they would be picked up and taken to safety. The hunt that had started days ago was finally over? I accept your proposal, Zixthok said. I will come with you and learn about humans. But I warn you, when I return to my people, the stories I tell will spread across the galaxy. Every species will know about the human engineers who turn asteroids into weapons, Jake smiled inside his helmet. Good, maybe that will make them think twice before they try to hunt us. The rescue ship's cargo bay opened, and Jake could see the crew preparing to bring them aboard. The real adventure was just beginning.